Are you looking to run your own security guard training school? Check out guardcardtraining.com. We have state-approved security guard training materials, professionally printed and bound student manuals, PowerPoint presentations, knowledge checks, and final exams. Everything you need to run your own program. Just open the box and start teaching. guardcardtraining.com.
This is Masad Ayub, and you're listening to the Security Professionals Podcast with Alex Haddix.
Welcome to the Security Professionals Podcast, brought to you by Security Training Center, LLC. This is your weekly source of news, tips, and education for the security specialist. I'm your host, Alex Haddix, and this is episode 18, a case study, Chicago Nightclub. Managing security in a nightclub can be a difficult post. It goes beyond checking for weapons at the door and ensuring the back doors stay shut. Alcohol, ego, and testosterone always make for a volatile combination, and fights between patrons are common. There are also life safety issues that must be addressed. For example, regulating the number of patrons to stay within the maximum capacity codes. Knowing the procedures for alcohol poisoning or drug overdose. No matter how much security checks, some drugs are going to sneak their way in. Patrons often like to sneak out the back doors or emergency exits to do drugs in the alley or back parking lot. Others prop these doors open to let their friends into the club to avoid cover charges or to skip the line. To prevent this, managers like to lock or chain these safety doors closed. The issue is that blocking those emergency exits is against fire and life safety codes and a crime. So with those safety issues and codes in mind, let's take a look at a nightclub disaster that could have been avoided and the repercussions. In 2003, E2, a Chicago, Illinois nightclub security team, used pepper spray to break up a fight between two women inside the club. Someone yelled out it was poison gas. The effects and the smell of the spray caused a panic, and the patrons stampeded towards the exits. 21 people were crushed to death, and another 50 were injured in the pileup at the exits. It's been called the worst nightclub disaster in the history of Chicago. There were an estimated 1,500 people in the club, twice the legal capacity. Several of the building's exits were locked or blocked. Most of the patrons were forced to use a single, steep, narrow staircase to exit. The crush of bodies forced the front door shut, which caused a pileup at the single point of egress. People were so panicked they climbed over each other in an effort to flee. Security attempted crowd control, forming a human chain to quell the stampede, and tried to pull fallen patrons out from underneath the crush of bodies. So, the facility was at twice capacity, emergency exits were locked and blocked, and the front doors opened inward. Now, regarding the doors opening inward, after several large commercial building fires in the early 1900s, it became fire code that all commercial building exits open outward to prevent this exact type of pileup at an exit during an evacuation. Next, the security team used pepper spray in a crowded room, which is a horrible, horrible idea. During our pepper spray training, we discussed this case study as an example of why pepper spray should not be used in certain environments, including nightclubs, hospitals, and other enclosed spaces. The spray contaminates the entire space, making it unusable for hours. The spray alone would have closed the club for a couple of hours. The bottom line is that most or all of this tragedy could have been avoided. The security team sparked the event, but management was ultimately held accountable. Both owners were convicted on criminal charges of criminal contempt for failing to comply with orders to close the second floor of the club. They were both sentenced to 2 years in prison. Well, that will do it for this episode of the Security Professionals Podcast. If you have any tips you'd like to share with everyone, a comment on a show, or if you would like to suggest a topic for an upcoming episode, write into podcast@security-training-center.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 909-742-5787. 0649. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe.
When every moment matters and a life is saved, when someone gives blood, when a hand reaches out, that moment when heartbreak turns to hope, you're there through the American Red Cross. Down the street, across the country, around the world, you help save the day. Every day. Your support truly matters. You can help today. Visit redcross.org.
The Security Professionals Podcast is copyright Security Training Center, LLC. This work is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. An archive of previous episodes can be found at security-training-center.com/podcast.